Hi all. I want to talk to you guys about Justin Bieber's performance at Coachella last night. I think that a lot of people miss the point of what we watched last night, and I think that as a person with a platform who has a deep understanding of complex trauma, I am uniquely equipped to explain it to you and help you guys understand a little bit better and maybe learn something and maybe heal something inside of you, okay? What happened at Coachella last night was one of the most visceral public displays of trauma healing that I have ever witnessed. I think that we ever witnessed. I think that has ever happened in pop culture history. It was incredibly raw. And most of you were asking, why are there no dancers? Why are there no pyrotechnics? No, you were missing the point of what we were witnessing. And I want to explain to you what we actually saw because I think you all deserve to understand it. And I think that Justin deserves someone to help people understand what exactly he was doing there on that stage. So when Justin Bieber was announced as a Coachella headliner, to be honest, my first thought was, is he actually going to show up to this thing? And I'm not saying that to disparage him. I'm saying that because I've been watching him over the past couple years, both since the whole Diddy trial kind of came out and also since he became a father. So in this book, Trauma and Recovery by Judith Herman, she talks about the fact that one of the most major triggers of complex trauma, especially complex childhood trauma, is becoming a parent. Because being a parent is when you're, for the first time, you're starting to witness that innocent child that you are taking care of. You see the innocent child that you once were in the eyes of that child, and you start to wonder, how could the things have happened to me have actually happened? In addition to people starting to talk about what could have happened to him and the ways he was exploited or whatever during the Diddy trial when that 48 Hours with Diddy video came out, right? So he's been having a really hard time. And to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, it takes one to know one. I know complex trauma when I see it because I have it too, you know? So I wasn't sure he was going to show up at all. But when I saw his Grammys performance, I had a sense of what he was going to do, because what that Grammys performance was a precursor to this performance, insofar as he showed up in his boxers alone, stripped away of everything other than his gift. That is all he came with, right? Only his music, only his voice. And that is what he shared with us in that moment. And a lot of people didn't get it, but I got it. And I had a feeling this performance would be the same, but I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't fully mentally prepared from what I saw. And there's something I want to kind of call people out on, which is what I would describe as ableism. I think the expectation that Justin Bieber perform at the level that he performed many years ago is fundamentally ableist in its conception, okay? And I know that Justin himself has not come out and said, use the term like disabled, okay? But at the end of the day, and I'm saying this, I don't often invoke my MD in these conversations, but I am going to invoke it here. Complex trauma, depending on how it presents, and I think the way it's presenting for Justin, is a disability. It is a disability. It limits your ability to function like a normal person, okay? He does not have the capacity that he once had, because the things that he is reckoning with psychologically stretch the edges of what a human being can actually hold inside of their body, okay? Complex trauma is a disability. It is not laziness. It is lack of capacity. And you need to understand that, and to not be able to hold space for that is ableist in its conception. He also has a series of other kind of autoimmune conditions like chronic Lyme disease, chronic EVB, multiple kind of autoimmune conditions that for me as a doctor, I really understand those to be honestly the psychosomatic manifestations of long-term trauma living in the body. And that is not to say that they are not real. They are very, very, very real. Very, very real. But I do see them as the sort of physiologic manifestations of psychic pain that he's experiencing, you know? And there's a concept that I want you guys to understand called spoon theory, right? I don't know if y'all are not familiar with it, but spoon theory is this concept that everything that you do every day takes a certain number of spoons, and that people who are disabled only have a certain number, have much lower number of spoons than like able-bodied people have on a day-to-day basis, right? So maybe an able-bodied person, let's say the average able-bodied person has like 150 spoons, right? Someone who's disabled may only have 20 spoons, or may only have 50 spoons, or may only have 60 spoons, you know? And everything you do every day takes spoons. Like taking a shower might be like 7 spoons. Going to work might be 20 spoons. Walking your dog might be 5 spoons. Making dinner might be like 10 spoons, right? That's just part of like disability theory, right? And when you run out of spoons for one day, you are borrowing spoons from tomorrow. You know, they are units of energy. And I think Justin Bieber showing up to Coachella, baby, that's all the spoons that this man has, girl. He don't have no more spoons than that, okay? That was every spoon he had. And the implication that he should not have been on that stage because he couldn't perform at the level that y'all expect him to do, you expect him to dance monkey for y'all, fundamentally, and you think that he should have stayed hidden until he could give him what he wanted? Y'all, that is ableism. Y'all are ableist for talking like that. That is what that is. That is what that is. Because at the end of the day, this man is not at his full capacity because of the things that he went through, because of the toll, the psychological harm that he has endured has taken on him. And this was him giving us everything he had. He literally said it. This is all I can take. That's all I can take in this moment, you know? And people are not listening to him. They're not seeing him for what he is. His presence was a performance. His survival was a performance. His showing up was the miracle, not choreography, not pyrotechnics, not whatever. And, you know, I've heard people who were actually in that crowd felt the energy of it, felt moved by it. And I think that that is all that matters. So the first song he started with, the first thing is like those first 5 songs he started with were clearly a message. He started with All I Can Take, Speed Demon, I Do, and Butterflies. And I think the first words that come out of his mouth is, this is all I can take in this moment, okay? And the first verse of All I Can Take, I want to remind everybody, is, these symptoms of my sensitivity feels personal when no one's listening. There's things I can't change. Lord knows I've tried. Baby, we can leave it all tonight, okay? So I knew that by him choosing that song to be the opening number, that this was basically him doing something similar to what he did in the Yummy video, where he was basically bleeding out in front of us and begging us to listen or witness it, knowing full well that a lot of the public would not understand what they've seen, which is exactly what's been happening, right? And to be honest, for me, it was very painful to watch. I was actually streaming on TikTok Live. I had to turn off my live for a few minutes and collect myself before coming back on because it was like too emotional for me. And I think part of the reason why people had a hard time bearing witness to that is because something that my community pointed out last night is that a lot of people who dismissed the performance, who called it boring, who wanted more, weren't just doing it out of cruelty. It was out of defensiveness and self-protection. Because what Justin Bieber was putting on stage is actually almost unbearable to look at directly if you actually look at it. It's like staring at the sun, honestly. It is raw, unmediated, unpackaged, and unfiltered pain and human suffering in a way in which that is not translated or packaged nicely or meant to be digestible. And when you look at that level of pain and really digest it, that requires you to be able to reckon with your own pain inside yourself that you may not want to look at, right? And most people aren't ready for that, and a lot of people don't have the bandwidth for that. So the mind will reach for a shield, and the shield is, where are the dancers? Why isn't he doing more? That isn't what I paid for. I think that deflection is at some level, I think that it's a self-protective response, you know? But here's what I want to say to you guys. I think we owe it to Justin to bear witness to his pain because he gave himself to us as a product, as a very small young child that we saw up on that screen last night, right? And I think we owe it to him to hold space to what that cost him to give himself to us in that way. We deserve to see him and not look away and be unflinching in our bearing witness, okay? So when he started this performance, he also started with a hoodie. And I want to explain the whole hoodie and the undressing of it all over the course of the performance, right? First, he starts off covered with these hoodies on and these dark sunglasses on. It really felt to me, as somebody who understands like traumatized patients, like it's honestly like sensory overload is a very real thing when you're like very triggered, and sometimes being protected under like a blanket. I mean, like I've had in like EMDR, I've had to put like a blanket over my head to even like talk about some of the things I was talking about. You know, it is a way of protecting your senses and blocking out the world so you can feel safe to like express yourself in this like sort of raw and visceral way. But I think that as time went on, as he became more comfortable, he shed these layers. First the hood came down, then the sunglasses came off, then the jacket came off. Finally when the hoodie came off entirely was the final disarming, which happened right before the YouTube segment of it all, right? And it was as if to say, as he was disarming himself, as if to say, see my humanity. Look at me laid bare before you, a human being just like you. I'm not just this pop icon that you project things onto. I am a human being. I am suffering, and I'm in real, actual pain that we deserve to bear witness to, that deserves to be witnessed, you know? And I think that was a man, it wasn't just a performance choice. I think it was a man really dismantling his armor in real time in front of hundreds and thousands of people. And it was radically vulnerable, radically like open, radically exposed. And it was incredibly powerful. But again, it was painful to watch. I think that for me, the section that really got to me, that is going to haunt me for honestly probably the rest of my life, was that YouTube section, right? Where he was playing these videos, of himself as a child and projecting them onto the screen behind him, and only able to play like small snippets, and then turning around to sing to that young little boy that feels so far away from that 32-year-old weathered, fractured, exhausted, honestly broken man, singing to the 15-year-old, trying to reach out to him and be like, who am I and what happened between then and now? The innocence on that screen to the person who we saw in front of us was honestly jarring to witness. It was honestly jarring. And I think that that image is going to be burned in my memory for like the rest of my days. I think he was trying to get back to that little boy, get back to that 15-year-old child. I think in the eyes of that young boy, he probably sees the eyes of his son, you know, eyes of his son. He sees the innocence of it all, the innocence that was taken from him by whatever the fuck happened to him in this fucking music industry, you know? And again, I don't think that Justin really owes us his story. I don't think he's ever going to tell us his story. And I don't think he should tell us his story, because I don't think that we deserve to know his story, given the way that we've responded to any vulnerability he's shown us for the duration of his career. But just know that he's a person who was failed by everybody, failed by his handlers, failed by his parents, failed by the people who were supposed to protect him, failed by us, the public, failed by the industry. And I think that it really was something that he ended that whole YouTube segment clip song set with Where Are You Now? A song that goes, where are you now that I need you? I was by your side. Where are you now that I need you? And I think he's asking that of all of those people who failed him. And I also think that he's asking that of himself. Of the child, the innocent child who got sold for parts by this industry. I think that he's asking, where are you now that I need you? Where are you now? You know? And then obviously he did the part where he was watching himself get humiliated. I mean, that part really kind of hurt me to watch a little bit, you know? I think it was a way of him, I don't know, humiliating himself before we humiliated him. And also a way, I think with the meme videos, a way of showing us that like, I'm just like you, girl. I'm at home. I watch YouTube in my hoodies and my sweatpants, just like you do. You know what I mean? Please see me. Please bear witness to me. And I really think that that Coachella crowd gave him what he needed in a lot of ways because of the way that the performance ended. I think that he ended with Thames and with Wizkid, with Afrobeats and honestly Nigerian artists, which obviously as a Nigerian person, I was very happy to see. I think Afrobeats is a special type of music because I think that for us, we understand that joy is sacred. And he was genuinely happy, genuinely, visibly, unperformatively happy. And he was more alive in those minutes. I feel like communing with that child maybe healed something within him. And then being in community with his fellow musicians where he actually feels seen and heard of and known. I think that was a really powerful thing. And it seemed like we were watching someone reintegrate what was taken from them in real time. I think that he is consciously choosing to, I don't know if it's closing the chapter, I hope it's not, but to close the chapter with love and with humanity, with the things that they couldn't take from him, which was his gift. His gift survived. Despite everything, his gift survived. And I think the beautiful thing about Justin Bieber, honestly, is that the paradox at the center of it all is that the thing that drew the predators to him was his gift. You know, I thought it was very striking that he played that video that he actually got discovered with, you know, it was very, very striking that he chose that. Scooter Braun saw that little boy singing on YouTube and he saw a product and a revenue stream and something to be sold, bought and sold and auctioned off to the highest bidder, that Usher and, Justin Timberlake, like really, like, you know, were financially battling over. His gift, the gift of his music is what got him exploited, got him used, got him abused, got him discarded, and got him destroyed, okay? The vultures came to him like a carcass to pick at because of what he could do. But yet, even after that, the music is still there. The gift is still his. He did not allow them to take the gift. He was still able to find joy in it, still feel it in his body, still light up when he was on stage with Thames and with Dijon and with Kid Laroi and actually crack a smile that we only saw at those parts of the performance. There is a Beyonce lyric from All Night where she says, my torturer became my remedy. I really feel like that is Justin Bieber's relationship with music, you know? The thing that they use to ensnare him is the thing that's actually pulling him through. And if he survives this, which I hope to God he does, and I pray that he does, I pray he does, I really believe it'll be the music that saves him. In any way, I want to speak directly to the fellow travelers out there who witnessed what I witnessed and understood what they were seeing, and to the people who feel ensnared by systems that were supposed to protect them and didn't, and people who watched that performance and felt something shake loose in them that they didn't know why, and to the people who have been to the valley of the shadow of death through the trauma and the pain and who don't know if there's a way through. I really don't know if Justin Bieber's going to be okay. I really don't. I hope he is. But I believe that if he gets through, it's the music and the art that'll get him through. It's the community and the connection that will get him through. I think that the fact that he showed up armored, broken, hurt, in pain, he still showed up and he still disarmed himself, and he still laid himself bare for us. And that he looked into the camera and he sang to the boy that he used to be. And somewhere in that, he found a way to crack a smile, to find joy. That's not nothing, girl. That's not nothing, girl. That's everything. This might not have been the most technically excellent performance, but it was definitely one of the most profound performances I've ever seen. And it was a gift to witness it, okay? And that's what I gotta say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you understand that performance just a little bit more. The gray area is where the truth lives, and I will always meet you guys there. I'll see you guys next time.